Hello students. In the last lecture, we discussed about a questionnaire. Okay, what are the characteristics of an ideal questionnaire that we have discussed. Also, we have seen one specimen example of a questionnaire. Now, let's discuss the questionnaire method. That is how you can do survey by questionnaire, right? So what are the methods? We have seen there are two methods. So let us see the first method in that questionnaire by post. So basically this method is like that when an ideal questionnaire is prepared, it is dispatched by post to the respondents from where the information can be collected. And then in a given period of time, the questionnaire can be sent back to the enumerator and the necessary information could be gathered. Okay, so for that, it is necessary to send a blank envelope along with the questionnaire to all the respondents and a proper postal stamp also because the respondent will expect that at least he should not expend for the questionnaire, right? Because if he is going to send back you the questionnaire, uh, he will of course uh, expect that that expenditure should not be borne by him. Okay, so in that case, as a respondent or investigator, you have to send a blank envelope also so that the respondent will mark the answers or write down the answer in the questionnaire and then he will fill it and put it in that blank envelope and will revert back to you. And a postal stamp should also be enclosed with it. Okay, and as there is no face-to-face interaction, the respondent is going to give the answers by himself only. Okay, so the question should be very clear, short, simple, relevant, and self-explanatory. Otherwise, what will happen, that if he will get frustrated or he may avoid answering some of the questions if the answer is too long. So it is very necessary that you prepare questionnaire in such a way that their answers are very clear, short, simple. Now, what are the advantages of this method? When your investigation field is very vast, if you have to collect information from more number of people, your field of survey is very wide, then in that case, this method is quite useful because it is not possible for you to uh, go personally and visit every respondent and get the answer. So in that case, this method is quite useful. Second, it is very less expensive method. You can get large amount of information that too with less expense because there is no face-to-face interaction. You don't have to hire the investigator or enumerator so that they can collect the information personally from the respondent. So it is simple also and less expensive also. And third advantage, that sometimes what happens, it is very difficult to get information from the respondents because the respondents might be located in those areas where it is difficult to reach personally or by telephone also. Sometimes there is no communication facility available, right? It's very rare, but sometimes it may happen. It might be due to some emergency situation also that there is no communication over there except post. So in that case, this method can prove to be useful. Personally means suppose that area is located in remote place, right? Or so for example, it is a hilly area, the mode of transportation is difficult. So in that case also this method can prove to be useful. Disadvantages now, what can be the disadvantage of this method? When the respondents are illiterate or they are non-cooperative, this method will be useless because in that case, they won't be able to answer on their own. They will get confused with the questions mentioned in the question. In that case, this method can be useful. Second, sometimes what happens, the respondents may fill um, the answers clearly. The answers they fill, it might be incomplete, or sometimes blank questionnaire is also sent back to the investigator. So in that case, your efforts will prove useless, right? Next, what is the disadvantage? Sometimes the laziness of the respondent will prove in delay of getting the information, right? The respondent is not that much active that is going to respond to your questions immediately, and he's going to post back to you. So in that case, you may get the information uh, not at proper time. There may be loss of questionnaire or delay in getting the information because of the laziness of the respondent. So that is the meaning of this point. Next disadvantage is that sometimes there is misinterpretation of the question. The respondent is not able to get the clear uh, clarity about what kind of answer he should be giving. Sometimes he might misinterpret the question which is written, as there is no face-to-face interaction. So in that case, he will interpret the question in his own way. And in that case, sometimes misleading answer could be given by the respondent, knowingly or unknowingly. Okay. So that is also one of the disadvantage of this method. So looking at the disadvantage of this method, second method of questionnaire is by enumerator himself. Questionnaire by enumerator. So here in this method, the enumerator themselves are going to contact the respondents and they are going to get the response to the questions. Enumerator personally, he will fill the questionnaire. Okay. So here the difference is that the enumerator will carry the questionnaire and he will personally meet the respondents. Whereas in the first method that we have discussed, in that the questionnaire will be sent by post to the respondent. Okay. So here what is important, the enumerator should be very enthusiastic, polite, honest, and efficient in his work so that correct answers can be recorded by the enumerator. Okay. So it is very important because personal interaction is very important, right? During marketing also, you must have listened that the marketers are very polite. They should be very honest because if they are more polite, they are more honest, and in that case, they can do their sales to a great extent. So it basically all depends upon how you talk, how you behave. So in that case, if the annullator is very strict or he is not polite, then in that case, because of the aggressiveness of the enumerator, the respondent may not give correct answer. Okay, so a friendly atmosphere should be created by the enumerator and that instruction should be given to him. What are the advantages of this method? Let us discuss. The first advantage is that very complete, correct, and relevant information will be obtained from the respondents. Okay, if proper animators are selected. Second, in the case where the respondents are illiterate or they are not cooperative, then enumerator can personally explain him, give proper explanation to the respondent that your information will not be misled और कुछ गलत नहीं होने वाला है, तो उस केस में जो है इंफॉर्मेशन प्रॉपर तरीके से लिया जा सकता है. Next advantage is that here the disadvantage that was there in the questionnaire by post method, that there is loss of questionnaire sometimes or incomplete answers to the questions are given. But here this thing is not going to happen because the enumerator himself is going to carry the questionnaire. He is going to record the answers given by the respondent at the very place. Okay, so in that case, any question will not be left unanswered, or there won't be any case that the questionnaire will be lost. Next advantage is this method is very reliable because the information which will be collected, that is more reliable because of the face-to-face interaction. Now, the disadvantages of this method, it is very difficult to get expert enumerators in sufficient number, because here you have to carry the survey face to face. So in that case, you will require more number of enumerators, and it is very difficult to get expert enumerators in that much number. So that is the first disadvantage. Second, it is very expensive because remuneration has to be paid to the enumerator. So total cost of the inquiry is going to hike, right? That is going to boost up. So that is the second disadvantage. Third, it is very difficult to train the untrained enumerators for the inquiry. And even if you train them, what is the guarantee that they will be skillful, they will be honest, or they will work efficiently? Okay, so sometimes they may not perform their duties honestly. So in that case, the information which is collected might not be reliable. कभी कभी ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि वो खुद से आंसर लिख देंगे, किसी के पास नहीं भी जा सकते, ऐसा भी हो सकता है, right? So they will not take that much due diligence if they are not honest. Then what is the next disadvantage? This method is unsuitable where the respondents are spread over wide area. So cost and time of inquiry will increase in that case. कितने एनोमीटर्स को आप हायर करोगे, कहाँ कहाँ पे आप एनोमीटर्स को जो है भेजोगे? So it will be very difficult in terms of cost also and time also. Next, very important, मीटिंग का टाइम फिक्स करना, right? Enumerators have to adjust their time with the respondents. So it is very difficult to adjust the convenient time of respondents or even the enumerators time, because sometimes we may have to visit more respondents. Okay, so stipulated time period में जो है inquiry complete करना बहुत difficult हो जाएगा. Suppose he has been given a target of 4 days to complete inquiry in one particular area, but because of issues of matching of time, right? In that case, you will not be able to get the inquiry done within that stipulated time period. So that is the disadvantage in this method. Okay. So as such, we have discussed these three methods, right? So there is no definite rule that which method you will be using, but it depends upon many aspects, like which method you will adopt it, that depends upon these criteria. Like what is the area under inquiry, what is the purpose of the inquiry, what is the monetary budget, right, of your inquiry, the time frame, as we discussed, time भी ज़्यादा लेता है, then expert enumerators availability के वो मिल जाएंगे कि नहीं मिलेंगे, right, and the standard of accuracy, आपको कितना accurate information चाहिए, बहुत ज़्यादा accurate चाहिए नहीं चाहिए, अगर आपको इतना accuracy की ज़रूरत नहीं है तो आप पोस्ट के वाला मेथड भी यूज कर सकते हो, right? So that was about the methods of collecting primary data. Now let us discuss about secondary data, right? In that we are going to discuss the sources of secondary data. What sources are there for secondary data? As we have discussed already, what is secondary data? Secondary data means the data which was already collected by someone and you are using it second time. So that is called secondary data. So it could be like any published data or any unpublished data also. Published data means which is publicly available, and unpublished means which is not published, which is private, which might be available from their own private records of the company or any institute who has collected the information. Now, what are the secondary data which can be available from published sources? So in that, first is government publications. It could be central government or state government organizations, right? they collect statistical data, and then they publish their findings in the interest of public. Like National Sample Survey Organization, NSSO, ICAR, related to agriculture, right? So on. Then next is about semi-government publications. There are some semi-government organizations. Semi-government means partly government, partly non-government, right? Means कुछ shares government के होंगे, कुछ shares non-government के होंगे. So that is semi-government publications. It can be 50-50% case, right? Such as Life Insurance Corporation, State Electricity Board, right? So that is semi-government publications. Then it could be international publications also, मतलब जो international level पे काम कर रहे हैं, like United Nations Organization, UN. Basically, it aims for solving international disputes, conflicts, then International Monetary Fund, then ILO, okay, such kind of publications. Then you can also take help of the research organization reports, right? There are some research institutes which carry out research work like Ahmedabad Textile Industry Research Association, PRL Physical Research Laboratory, right? Such research institutes reports can be helpful as a secondary data. Then there could be local self-government institute also, or any autonomous educational institute, municipal corporation records, Jilla Panchayat records, right? They publish their annual reports. So from that also you can use secondary data. Then after, there are publications of business and commerce organization like Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry publish the journal Economic Trends. Institute of Chartered Accountants publish the journal Chartered Accountant, likewise. Then after, very common newspapers and periodicals that is easily available, the data regarding economics, commerce, business, sports, these kind of information can be readily available from newspapers or periodicals easily. And second, secondary data from unpublished sources means they are not published, but as I told you, some private or any public organization means government organization. Public organization means government organization. They have prepared the reports for their own reference. They have not kept it for public purpose. Say, for example, salary of the employees. It is not public. It is not a published source, right? Education level, data regarding investment of mutual fund in public and private sector companies, etc., etc. Okay. Some research articles by PhD students of universities. So that can also be used as a secondary data. Now, when you are using secondary data, you have to take care of certain things. That is, you have to be very cautious. So what precautions you would be taking while using secondary data? That is, you must be very careful. You must undertake a careful scrutiny before using secondary data, right? So what are those precautions? First is that before you use any secondary data, it should be verified that who has collected the data and from where the data is collected. Okay, like if you are using the data collected from any private organization, it can be less reliable because private organization जो भी data collect करेंगे अपनी ideology अपने biasness के base पे वो prepare करेंगे. They are not government organization. Basically the government organization या government की website पे जो आपको data मिलेगा, that could be authentic. Okay, so check first that from where the data is being collected. Second, the purpose of collecting the data. That is also very necessary. Check your purpose of the study and check the purpose of the primary data. Are both the purpose matching? If both the purpose are not matching, then the secondary data which you are using, it may be unreliable. Okay. Next, the data which you are using, right, secondary data, it should not be too old. It should be relevant with the current time period. जैसे कि प्राइस ऑफ ग्रेन्स, गोल्ड, पेट्रोल, अभी ये चीज जो है चेंज होती रहती है। सपोज हम गोल्ड की बात करें तो गोल्ड की प्राइस चेंज होती रहती है, पेट्रोल की बात करें तो पेट्रोल की प्राइस चेंज होती रहती है। तो अगर आप कोई रिसर्च आर्टिकल बना रहे हो रिलेटेड टू द प्राइस फ्लक्चुएशंस ऑफ पेट्रोल, राइट, तो अभी आपके पास बहुत पुराना डेटा है, राइट, और अगर उसमें आप वो पुराना डेटा आप यूज कर रहे हो 10 साल पुराना, तो जब पेट्रोल का रेट बहुत ही सस्ता था, it is near right now it is nearly about 100 rupees per liter, right, approximately 90 to 100 के बीच में है। तो वो बात अलग है, और जो पहले था पेट्रोल का प्राइस वो अलग है। तो अगर आप कोई बहुत पुराना डेटा यूज कर रहे हो तो वो आपके करंट टाइम पीरियड से मैच नहीं करने वाला है, सो दैट यू शुड टेक केयर। देन व्हाट इज द स्कोप ऑफ द डेटा, the region for which the data are collected, that also should be as certain। कौन से रीजन का डेटा आप यूज कर रहे हो, जो रीजन का डेटा है क्या आपके रीजन से मैच कर रहा है, वो भी आपको देखना पड़ेगा। देन if the data is estimated one, that should be avoided, right। कभी कभी जो डेटा होता है एस्टिमेट्स दिया होता है, सपोज पॉपुलेशन ऑफ द कंट्री ड्यूरिंग लास्ट 20 years, अगर वो एस्टिमेटेड डेटा है तो शायद रॉन्ग हो सकता है, बिकॉज एस्टिमेशन ये भी समटाइम्स रॉन्ग, एंड आपके ऑब्जेक्टिव में जो है एक्यूरेसी चाहिए और वो एस्टिमेटेड है, तो वो केस में भी जो है आपका जो ऑब्जेक्टिव है वो मैच नहीं करेगा, सो एस्टिमेटेड डेटा शुड बी अवॉइडेड, राइट। देन व्हाट इज नेक्स्ट, the method of collection of data should also be known, right, because हमने देखा अलग अलग मेथड के अलग अलग एडवांटेजेस डिसएडवांटेजेस है, लाइक क्वेश्चन बाय पोस्ट जो है उसमें जो है इनएक्यूरेट आंसर हो सकते हैं एज कम्पेयर टू क्वेश्चन बाय एन्यूमरेटर, राइट। सो इन दैट केस अगर आपका ऑब्जेक्टिव है एक्यूरेट डेटा, राइट, तो उस केस में अगर जो डेटा है आप यूज कर रहे हो क्वेश्चन बाय पोस्ट है तो वो रिलायबल नहीं होगा, right, so the method which is being used by the investigator for collecting the primary data first time वो आपको पता होना चाहिए, and if that method is suitable to your objective then it's okay। So what is the next precaution you have to take, you should also be aware about the method of collection of the data, okay। So that is all for the chapter. We have completed the first lesson, that is collection of data, okay, and in the next video we will discuss the second chapter of statistics. Thank you and have a nice day. I hope you like the video, you have understood whatever is being taught by me, so please don't forget to like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.